Good day, friends. What we're doing today is influenced by what I did the other day, which was showing you how to make your mix bus better, simpler, with some analyzing plugins that were free. Now, in keeping with the free theme, I was like, well, what if I could possibly recreate my vocal chain, my preferred vocal chain, with free plugins? Can I do that? And the answer is yes, I can. And I'm going to link below where you can find all these plugins, plus more. I mean, every company has some amount of free plugins, like DDMF that makes Plugin Doctor that I talk about often, and a few other plugins. They have about 4 or 5 different plugins that are free, including the best tube saturation plugin I've ever heard. They have a highly usable EQ. Valhalla has, of course, the Supermassive, but they also have the Space Modulator and a couple others. And every company, basically, even Waves, has a few free plugins. So I'm going to use some of those. My favorites are Analog Obsession and a couple others, so I'm going to use those. Klanghelm does an amazing job with some free plugins. And yes, you can mix a record. You can mix a song. You can certainly recreate my vocal chain with only free plugins, all totally free. And in fact, at the end, you can top it off with a free version of Sonox's inflator plugin that almost everybody uses on their master bus. There's one that's also free. It's a 1-to-1 copy. So there you go. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show you what I've got going on. So forget my master bus. My master bus is my master bus, but my vocal chain on my mono vocal is the Split S, which is it's a de-esser, but it's not a de-esser. It's basically, it's hard to describe what it does, but it works better than anything I've ever tried. It's not free. This is we're on the paid channel here now. And it's not expensive though, but it's super great. It creatively and in a very ingenious way cuts off only the offending part of the consonant, and it's less noticeable than others. So that's always first. I want to cut that out at the top of my chain. I've noticed I've gotten more sibilant when I sing as I've gotten older. Maybe that happens to everybody. I don't know. Next in my chain is, in this chain, is the Safari plugins Falcon Air EQ. That's adding some top, like a good deal of top, sort of like what a Pultec would do. But it also has its own kind of special de-esser. And as I remember when I put this on this chain, it was new, so I tried it out. And you can even see here in the display what it's doing. It's just a big high shelf, but again, de-essing, but a little bit, not as noticeable. But if it's not noticeable and I can add it, I'm going to do it. So there you go. But you could put anything there. Then what I have is the Tube Tech, and I'm boosting a little bit at 100, and I am not cutting at 100, but I'm boosting at 3K and cutting at 3K. And if you know anything about Pultecs, it's creating a counter wave in a way. So I'm boosting at 100. I'm not cutting, so it's not cutting at 200, which is what a Pultec generally does in that range. When you boost and cut, it'll boost and then dip. When you cut, I'm boosting at 3, so it is boosting a little at 3, but then it's shaping around it. And in this case, I think it does it a little before 3, which is what I wanted. And, and some other stuff there. So this is the Soft Tube Tech EQ, the Tube Pultechy EQ. Are all of these necessary? No, nothing's necessary, but it's what I like. And then for my FET compressor, a fast field effect transistor that picks up the hard transients of my vocal quickly and releases quickly. I tried a whole bunch, and the one I prefer is the Kiev complex limiter. It's basically, I think, the Massenburg, I'm not sure, or one of the units that he made, one of the hardware units, but it works really good. And I've been using that mostly for my first compressor in the chain. I got a little Pro Q4, not doing too much. There's a pretty broad boost just around 3 and a little cut at 300 hertz. And I'm cutting off all the lows and a very sharp boost at like 131. All of these are recreatable with other plugins, which is why you can do it with free plugins. Then I have the M Exciter by Technovation, but this is just an exciter plugin, and you can reproduce that as well. And I'm not using it drastically. I really, really like the Lindell plugin de-esser from Plugin Alliance. You can blend it. It doesn't have to be, the mix doesn't have to be 100%. And you can have it at a different frequency than your earlier de-essers. So it works out really great, and you can adjust your range. So that, and then finally at the end, again, this time I'm lifting above 20K and above. So super high shelf. It's more something that's felt than heard, but believe me, it's there. I'm adding about 3 dB there. So that's it. Now, if I turn on the plugin analyzers, this is what's going on. So, and now it may look like I'm drastically cutting the lows, but there's still plenty of lows there. You'll hear it. But I do want to cut the low mids, which is what's happening. And I want to cut shape more than cut some of the higher mids and then really open up the top. And there is a little boost down low, as you can see. It sounded great. So that's my vocal chain, at least for this song in this key. Now, if I turn off the analyzers, because if I don't turn them off, remember the video from the other day, you don't hear them. How can we reproduce all of that? Well, one way, and the easiest way for me, is using VSTs. Now, Pro Tools, where I work in mostly, is AAX format. And you'll find that most of the free plugins, most of them, not all, but most of them are VST only. But that's okay. If you have a wrapper, you like Meta plugin by DDMF, or Blue Cat makes one as well. I'm sure there's others. Then you can recreate this chain with free VSTs. And here's what I've done. So this is Meta plugin. We've talked about Meta plugin before. There you go, right in the middle of the screen. Let me show you the signal chain in Meta plugin. And when I play these, you'll hear them because I'm going to record them in using both chains so you can compare them. So first in the chain is the Air Windows DS. Now, if you want to save money and have a ton of highly usable plugins, Air Windows is, I don't know if there's thousands, but there's hundreds, and there's several in each category. The guy who develops these puts these up for free. You can just do a Google search, Air Windows, and in fact, one of the links I'll have below will probably have the Air Windows link. So he has, probably people think he has the best tape saturation plugin. He's just recently come out with some very innovative reverb, algorithmic reverb, and room reverb plugins. This is his DS plugin. He's got an un-DS plugin, and it's too much to go into now. But he's kind of brilliant, and he does this all for free. Now, as you can see, the user interface is very basic, but it does what you need it to do. You just turn the knobs, use your ears, and it works. So you could recreate my entire chain in Air Windows if you wanted to. But if you want different flavors like I did, you can do what I did here. But Air Windows is where I would start. Hundreds and hundreds of amazing plugins, and some of them quite cutting edge. So, de-esser by Air Windows first. Second is TDR Nova. So this is Tokyo Dawn Labs. I can't scale it up bigger. This isn't the free version, but there is a free version of TDR Nova. The paid version's not expensive, but there's a free version of exactly what you see before you. And what I've done is recreate my Pro Q4 settings precisely in TDR Nova, and got rid of the Safari, the high shelf and de-esser, by creating the same exact high shelf in TDR Nova. So this plugin just replaced two plugins and recreated exactly the same settings. So there's a free version of this at Tokyo Dawn Labs. Tokyo Dawn Labs has many, many, many excellent free plugins. Do not sleep on them. Analog Obsession and Tokyo Dawn Labs, as well as Air Windows. I mean, if you just got those, you wouldn't need to buy anything probably. Unless it was for flavor. So there you go. That's how I recreated the Safari EQ shelf and the FabFilter Pro Q4. Next, this is how I created. Now, this isn't going to be exact, but this is the Analog Obsession PoreTech, which is their Pultec version. It doesn't have as many bands as the Softtube, but you could use two instances of it if you needed to. Once I analyzed this and listened to this chain, I decided I didn't need it, and you can see that for yourself. But I boosted with this one, basically the same amount, around 100 hertz, but I cut because I needed to cut with this, where I didn't with the other one. Maybe there were other things going on with other plugins, and they were, doing compatible curves. I don't know. But using my ears, I could tell I did need to cut around 200, 250, and that's what the boost and attenuation do. And then here's another example. In the Softtube version, the TubeTech Pultec EQ, I was boosting at 3K or 4K. I think I was boosting at 4K. Here, to get the same sound, for it to feel good to me, and maybe not the same, I had to boost at 8 and quite a bit, 3 dB or 3 clicks, because I don't know if they're dBs in Pultec land. But then I attenuated to create a curve. And that's what sounded right to me, and it's free. So that worked great in that spot. Then we have the first compressor, and I had to really think about this because there were a lot of choices. I mean, there were Tokyo Dawn, there was a lot more choices from Analog Obsession, but the Klanghelm, this free Klanghelm MUJC, I think it is. I think that's what it is. Yeah. This one's the MUUC. They have a couple of different models. And with these settings, this one kind of got me in the area I wanted to go. Just using my ears, this did the job. So that was my first compressor. My second compressor was the LA2A, and it usually is an LA2A. So the first compressor being a FET or a faster compressor catches all the peaks and just like a dB or two of them. And then the second compressor being an LA2A is a much slower attack, and it's just dealing with everything after that. And it's also shaping the sound. Like if I turn these off, you'll see the shape of what's happening to this channel does change. But as far as having compression do what it does, the FET catches the peaks and the LA2A just smoothly and beautifully catches everything else after that and kind of molds the vocal for me, the final touch. Then to replace the exciter, we have, and this isn't scalable, is the Slate Digital Fresh Air. I'm just using a little bit. I got 9 on the mids and 15 on the highs. It's an exciter plugin. It's adding some saturation and excitement in the high mids and the highs. That's what it does. And if you turned it off when it was playing audio, you'd see it on an analyzer. Exactly, that's what it does. Is it precisely what the other exciter is? No. Is it better? Could be. It could be. Like maybe the free chain is better than the paid chain, so we shall see. And then finally, and this is very important, this is going to be hard to see because it's really not scalable and it's this big. This is the JS inflator. This is the JS inflator. This is a 1-to-1 copy of the Sonox inflator. And what this does is bring up the lower details and sort of hypes them in a way. It's not really a limiter per se. It's more of an expander and exciter. But these are the settings, the same. I'm using exactly the same settings I use when I use the Sonox inflator. And it's just to bring up a little more detail. So there you have it, everything the same, and I will have the Sonox inflator on the original channel as well. It just, there wasn't enough space on that channel. So I've turned on the Bertum EQ Curve Analyzer 2, and you can see what this channel is doing. Now, the shape is not terribly different. The gain is, yet when you hear them, they're going to be matched. And oddly, the gain is not that much different. What I think is occurring here is that because all of the free plugins are in Meta plugin, it's changing the perception of how hot they are when they're really not coming in that hot. In fact, it's like a dB and a half difference, and that looks like more like 3 dB. It's not. So I think that's just the disparity between everything being in a wrapper on the free channel. But the curve is not that much different, really. If you pulled that down, they'd almost match up. Now, we can't have them on when we're playing, so now we're going to turn those off. I just wanted to show that to you. We're going to turn that off. And now we're going to record everything in, and I'm going to switch between channels. I'm going to start with the first channel and then go back and forth so you can compare them. And you tell me what you think is better, or does it matter? Or does it matter? All right, here we go. Brothers, now our meeting is over. Brothers, we must part. And if I never see you no more, I'll love you in my heart, and we'll land on the shore. Yes, we'll land on the shore. We will land on the shore and be safe forevermore. Sisters, now our meeting is over. Sisters, we must part. And if I never see you no more, I'll love you in my heart. And on the shore, we will land on the shore. We will land on the shore and be safe forevermore. Friends, now our meeting is over. Friends, we must part. And if I never love you in my heart, and we will land on the shore, we will land on the shore, on the shore, and be saved forevermore. All right, so there you go. Now, as you may have noticed, hopefully, I started out with the first vocal, the original, the expensive chain, and sang like halfway through the verse with that, then switched over to the free channel, and then back and forth with that. So what did I hear? Well, they're pretty damn close. They're still me singing, thankfully. Weirdly, even though the analyzer showed the original paid plugin track being less bottom, I felt that was a tad fuller now listening back to it than the other one. However, the other one was probably, if you were doing pop music, was probably had a little bit better of attack and a crispness without being crisp. It was just a little punchier and a little more open. Both, to me, were usable. Like, I did this for a project with Henry Kaiser, and the original paid plugin one was used. But if I had sent him this free plugin channel instead, it would have been fine. So I guess a lot depends on, your budget and your patience going through thousands of plugins like I have, and what type of music you're making, and, what arrangements you're, what style, everything. But again, I think both are fine. And you can get all those free plugins. I put all I did was search free plugins, and then there's a couple of places where I got stuff from. But I already had all these, right? Like, I was using all these on a fairly regular basis, but you forget what you have when new plugins come out all the time and they're hyping something new and this and that and the other, So I just wanted you to hear what you can achieve. And believe me, I just copied, for the most part, what my expensive chain settings were to the free settings. And that's not fair in a way, because if I had spent as much time with the free settings, I might have gotten closer to that, or even better than the original, So I think that the tools are there and you don't have to pay for them. And that was the point of this, trying to save you money and showing that you can do anything with what you already have. Another thing I did was so I could recreate having two de-essers. I just used the stock free DigiDesign, the Avid, the de-esser that I never ever use because it doesn't have enough parameters for me, but guess what? It worked fine. So whether you're using Ableton or Bitwig or Cubase or whatever, Reaper, they all have tools built into them too. You don't need to spend money. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions.